So what's up, guys? My name is Eric Ferreira. I'm going to be talking about sentimental value today. Now, I plan on hitting like 3 points for sentimental value: what it is, what it can do, and why it's important. Now, for what it is, we should probably, first look at some examples and definitions and stuff like that. So we got, this nice teddy bear could have sentimental value to some people, a bracelet that you might have received, or a stick, nice stick. But yeah, so all these items could have sentimental value to individual people. And then there was this quote. One of my most sentimental items was my grandmother's engagement ring that my mom gave to me a few years ago. So, you know, just the various different items that could have sentimental value to different people. It changes for person to person. Now, some definitions. This one's a horrible one, but I just wanted to put it in. A value of an article in terms of the sentimental association for a particular person, dictionary.com, great source. Or value of an object deriving from personal or emotional association rather than material worth. The Oxford Dictionary. So, sentimental value is basically just, something that you could have like a personal attachment to, and it helps you for whatever reason. There's various different ways which I'll get into of helping people and yourself out. Now, I have some items that I'm going to show, but for what it could do, let's just look at some of the examples. The teddy bear, it could remind you of a time when you were a kid and you didn't have to worry about, finals or taxes or worrying about all this. You could just be, yourself. The bracelet could remind you of, your grandmother, because you might have lost her recently and she helped you through some tough times. And a stick, could be from like your cousin, remind you of them. I have very generic a family photo. That's my parents and then my siblings. What I use this sentimental item for is motivation. I use it to motivate me because when I look at this photo, I get reminded of so many different things. My parents were both from a little place known as Portugal, both immigrants, so I'm a first generation American. And both my parents did not get like a college experience or, for that matter, a high school experience. They only went to as far as middle school in Portugal. So they didn't really have this luxurious life that I lived in America. And that's one of the main reasons they came to America. They gave up everything they had, came to a country that they didn't know the language, they didn't know the culture and everything, to better themselves and better their future children. And they gave up so much, so I feel like, yes, while I'm here, I'm working for myself, I feel like I owe them something because they don't want me to become a bum or a hobo. That's something you say. But yeah, so they came to this country, they gave up everything. So when I look at it, I get reminded of that I'm giving back to, I say giving back, yeah, that's the best word, giving back to them because they gave up so much though. They, yeah, sorry, really bad with ending sentences. Another story, this one's a bit sadder. I had a friend back home. He was a really good friend. I knew him since like the age of 2. He lived right by me. We always hanged out. We always did stuff together. We were on the same soccer team growing up. We did a lot of things together and so on and so forth. So we were always together. And in high school, I think it was sophomore or junior year, one of those two, I'm pretty pretty sure it was sophomore year, he started acting a bit different. He started not showing up to soccer games because he was making excuses that he was sick this day or he was upstate or so on and so forth. And then he started making those excuses for practices. And then that became excuses for school, and he missed a week of school with the flu. And then that became 2 weeks, and then months and months on end. And I started to worry about it. I started to question why he was doing this. There's no way that you could just miss 3 months of school in a row. And then, unfortunately, I learned it the hard way. My mom told me he went through a traumatic experience. So what happened was that day, he came home, just wasn't having a good day apparently, yelled at his mother that he was going to end his life, commit suicide, and when I heard this, I just immediately rushed over since he lived so close, and I tried to help him through it. I walked in, he was in his room, just crawled up in a ball in his bed. And then it was very difficult from that point because I tried to talk to him. I tried to just get him to talk, and he didn't at all. I got no response for 2 hours, and I just didn't know what to do in this situation. I just asked him how he was doing, how was his day, I just tried to talk about anything, and he just didn't give me anything. And then I offered to do something that we did when we were younger. I asked if he wanted to play a quick game of FIFA with me. When we were younger, we always played FIFA. It's very competitive, but he was always better than me. But I got him to play FIFA. He was very unresponsive. He kind of just played FIFA. So we did that. The next day, I came back over, I played FIFA, and so on and so forth, until about 3 or 4 days later, he started talking and stuff like that. Like, not about what clearly, he didn't address the elephant in the room, but he just started oh, I remember the first comment, he scored a goal and he said I suck. I did suck. Bad day. But he just started being more responsive to things and trash talking, and it just, it helped hearing his voice. He was being more responsive. I got some more friends over, 2 more, and we did that for, we played FIFA for a week. Then after a while, we got him out into the park to try to play soccer, just do some fun things, get some things done, and he started to go back to a better self. I say a better self. He was starting to do more stuff, be more active and stuff like that. He wasn't going to go back to the person he once was because he had a traumatic experience. That stuff changes him. So, yeah. But after a while, we just became a group, us 4, and we did everything together. And it was so uplifting to see him, be in a better position where he was more social. He was homeschooled, but he started interacting with more people and so on and so forth. And it was just so heart-lifting for me. But then it came to the time where I had to leave, for university, and we all were all going our separate ways. Also, I was not supposed to spoil it, but we were gonna go our separate ways, and I was kind of worried that he was gonna go back to the, thinking that that he was just gonna start thinking like that again. So we got something of sentimental about it. Now I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of personal, but hope that he see me as a friend when he ever looks at it, so that if he is having a bad day, because he still sometimes thinks like that. I saw him this Thanksgiving, and I talked to him. But that's what I wanted that item to show, that I was a friend for him. We were all friends for him. We saw him at, well, me personally and them too, but we saw him at a really low point in his life, and we still, wanted to be friends with him. We wanted to help him through it, so that we could be there for him. That if he just needs to talk, I was there. My other friends were there. And if we needed to talk about something, he understood that he had to listen and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's fine now. Like I said, I saw him Thanksgiving. It was a very emotional time after seeing him for like such a long time. But yeah, so now to go into like why sentimental value is important. Without it, some things wouldn't happen, like this TED Talk, because let's be honest, I didn't want to do this. Not gonna lie. And I don't want to study for my finals, but like I still motivate myself with my family photo to get the job done, to get it all through. If my friend didn't have that sentimental item with him, I would be worried sick about him. I'd be like, oh my God, I try to text him every day, see if he's like fine. He needs a space like every normal human being would, but it would just, get through it. And yeah, so without it, things could have changed. Like, some influential people in the world could have had a sentimental item to them that the rest of us don't know about, that they used to, I don't know, they could have been Einstein and figured out how to, figure this out, or it could have been Graham Bell and he's like, oh, maybe this is how I should figure out how to use a phone, like a telephone, So the world could have been different without sentimental items in the world and value and stuff like that. So it's very important. That's my work. I had two more other